Hey everyone, my name is Tyler, aka Spartan Snyder. Today we are talking about the possible new direction that Halo Infinite might be moving in, especially because we just got news. I say just, it's been probably a couple of weeks, but we've just uncovered the news that Chris Lee is no longer working as the studio head for 343 in charge of Halo Infinite. Now, this is a big change because a few months back we actually got news that Joe Staten was going to be working on Halo Infinite, and we weren't really sure of what his role was, and at the time 343 Industries was not very forthcoming with information on what Joe Staten was. Now, for those of you that don't know who Joe Staten is, he's worked on several Halo games in the past, especially during the Bungie era. So we have the Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2 and Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach games that he's all been a part of and had his hand in, making them look, as phenomenal as they are. Now, Joe is actually the new lead for the single-player campaign, and they actually brought in Pierre Hanetz to run the multiplayer. So, and Pierre Hanetz, just so you're aware, he's had a lot of work on the Master Chief Collection multiplayer. So, we've got two very talented individuals, both very good at the jobs that they do, leading their respective areas. So, I think that we're going to have a good game altogether, but it might change the whole direction that Halo Infinite is going in. See, Chris Lee has wanted to keep Halo Infinite very much an original game. He wanted it to be very similar to Halo Combat Evolved. And for those of you out there thinking, well, Joe Staten's had his hand in the original Halo, why would it change? Well, there are a lot of things that we need to consider. First off, it can't be a direct copy of the original because one, been there, done that, and two, that's all Bungie stuff, and 343 has been moving away from Bungie's way of doing things because they want to put their own spin on it. We saw a complete change in Halo 4, we saw new changes in Halo 5, and I'm certain we're going to see even more changes into Halo Infinite, which is going to be the final Halo game. And I stress this because during the Bungie era, Bungie put a significant emphasis on the number 7 in Halo. Now, Halo Infinite is going to be the 6th and final Halo game. 343 has confirmed that Halo Infinite is going to be the platform for Halo for the next 10 years. And what's going to happen after 10 years? We don't know. Is the campaign going to be alive in 10 years? Well, it's still doing fine as is, and we got Halo Combat Evolved, over 10 years ago. So I have a feeling, and if I'm able to keep it going, I know that everyone else that's watching these videos and everyone else in the Halo community is going to try to keep this going for as long as they can. Halo could potentially die after 10 years if 343 or Microsoft decide they no longer want to work on it. At that time, they may sell the rights to somebody else who wants to work on it, and then the future will kind of be unclear, just like we had an unclear future when Halo 3 ended, and then we found out that Microsoft bought Halo, and then we got Halo 4. So it's, who knows what's going to happen going forward, but we may never see a 7th Halo game that can either A, be the start of a new saga, or wrap up the old saga. So it all depends on what they do with Halo Infinite. Now, I've talked with a bunch of people, especially on Twitter, about what my thoughts and feelings are for Halo Infinite moving forward, and how, since we're not getting any new games, which is a complete change, it's a new direction from basically every other game out there as far as I'm aware, they, in my opinion, or what I think is going to happen, and I might even have talked about this in another video, I think they're going to give us our first map for Halo Infinite, and it's going to be a fairly large map. It's going to be the largest Halo map that we have ever received from Halo. So I think they said it was twice the size of the campaign of Halo 5. So yeah, it's already going to be massive, but it's not an entire ring. And I say that because they have an entire ring to work with. This will allow them the ability to provide us with future updates that could potentially open up expansions to the ring and we would have basically infinite number of possibilities, or they could do how some games do, and they could change the map that we have randomly throughout time. And of course, Halos are able to be changed to fit the environment. That's what the Sentinels do. They are there to rebuild and change things as needed. So it's possible that we can see some sort of cataclysmic event happen and it change the face of the map, or even a cataclysmic event happen in another location on the ring, and then we get that section of the ring to now play in. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work, but if they do something like that, it's very similar to what Fortnite's done, which, as you've heard me talk about before, Fortnite has changed the gaming industry for better or for worse. So that's my thoughts and feelings on where we are going to see Halo Infinite move forward to. Now, I want to talk about some of the quotes that we see in this Bloomberg article, which is where we actually got the news first, as Bloomberg broke the news that Chris Lee was leaving. So one thing we want to look at is that there's a quote in here that says Lee's role was sidelined a few weeks later as Microsoft brought in Halo veteran Joe Staten to lead the single player campaign and another senior executive, Pierre Hanetz, to run multiplayer. And I'm probably pronouncing his last name wrong. Pierre, I'm sorry about that. The article goes on to also tell us that Chris Lee, and this is a quote from Microsoft, Chris Lee remains a Microsoft employee, and while he has stepped back from Halo Infinite right now, we appreciate all he has done for the project to date. And that was an email statement from Microsoft to Bloomberg. And then finally, we have Chris Lee's actual statement on this, which he says, I have stepped back from Halo Infinite, and I am looking forward to future opportunities. I believe in the team, and I am confident they will deliver a great game, and now is a good time for me to step away. So who knows? This could have been the potential plan all along. It could have been, that once Chris Lee felt the game was where it needed to be and that it was content ready, which from what we've heard from leaks and such, that the game is content ready. All they have to do is work out some technical stuff. If the game is where it needs to be, he could have stepped back and said, you know what, I think my talents are needed elsewhere. I'm going to focus my talents on other Microsoft projects. That way we can, provide the best quality games to everyone, not just Halo, but other games as well. It could be that because of the delay, someone had to take the fall, and Chris Lee, being the top guy, said, you know what, I'll take all the blame for it. My problem. And he leaves, and they bring in somebody else to take his place. I don't know, but I feel the new direction could slightly change, especially with Joe at the helm. Now, he's done great work on previous games, but he may not necessarily agree with the direction that Chris Lee wanted to go in. And so we could see a slight shift compared to what Chris wanted to give us. And once the game comes out, Chris may come out and say, hey, this isn't what I wanted. I doubt that will actually happen because he's still employed with Microsoft. If he wasn't employed with Microsoft, we'd probably see a complete different switch. But if the game is not what Chris intended, then who knows? We may never get to see what that game was supposed to be like. Now, we do know that they want to keep this new Halo game as close, well, I shouldn't say as close to the original, but they want to kind of give it its original kick, essentially. As I've said, I've talked with people on Twitter before, Halo 4 and Halo 5 kind of took us off into a different place. And with the people that I've talked with on Twitter, I've mentioned specifically, it feels like in Halo 4, they took one aspect of Chief's personality, highlighted it, and made it the main focus of Halo 4, and then they also used it to kind of supplement it in Halo 5, but Halo 5 also suffered from some other problems, like not knowing who the main character was, because you spent a lot of time playing Locke and not so much time playing Chief, which is not necessarily what we wanted. I mean, people liked the whole aspect of Halo 2 where you could play the Orbiter and you could play Chief, and I think that's kind of what they tried to do with Halo 5, but it didn't really work in my opinion. So yeah, hopefully we're moving away from Halo 4, Halo 5. They were great games and I enjoyed playing them. They pushed the timeline forward and, developed whole new things. We now have the whole incident with the Creator, which has kind of been covered in other sources. This is the whole thing with Halo 5 being that Cortana was still alive. She was now a Forerunner AI or Ancilla, and she's offering to let other AIs around UNSC control space join her and become part of the Created to rule all mankind. That whole power hungry trip that we see in most supervillains, super human. I don't know. It's a weird sort of thing. It was a complete shift in how not only Master Chief but Cortana acted not only towards each other but towards the rest of the world, so, or the rest of the universe, because it's not just a world, it's a universe. So who knows, maybe Halo Infinite moving forward under Joe, we might actually see some of that original Halo brought out. And well, I think that's where we're going to end this video. So if you have anything that you would like to add to the conversation, please drop that down in the comments. I'd love to read your comments, see what you think, what your thoughts and what your feelings are. It's always interesting to me. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want. Make sure that you turn that bell on so you know when I post new videos, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you, and have a good one.